Senatus Populesque Romanus, and welcome back to Catapult Time. This is Dr. Von Mad, and guess what? We're back to building a catapult this week. So here goes. I'm going to show you, before we even start building, I'm going to kind of give you a history of what we're doing. Now, you've seen this one before. It's one of our past projects. This is the Roman Baliista. Basically, the Roman Baliista was basically a large crossbow. It would, the Romans would set this up and they'd use it against usually infantry targets, and they also had a swivel version called the Scorpion. And this was basically one of the earlier designs. Later on, you came up with the Onager, which is named for the Somalian wild donkey. And granted, the springs on this one, the rubber bands are a little out, but basically like that. And you basically recognize that frame. And this was another project we did. Now we're going to be looking at the third installment of this machine. In this case, the Roman Heavy Onager. And I'm going to have to set the camera down for a minute so you can kind of get a feel for what we're doing here. See if I can get it to where you guys can see. Basically, it's a beam sling design. As you can tell by this beam sling right here, you'd hook a beam sling onto it and it'd draw back like so. And when it throws, see how it's really far forward? That gives you a lot more purchase, and it also allows you to throw much further and much more powerful. I'm pretty sure, because I've seen Romans depicted with both this one and this one at various points, as well as the Baliista. What I'm suspecting is that that one in the back is probably their idea of heavy artillery, and this one here was more of a light artillery unit, or maybe even an earlier model. Anyway, what we're going to be building this week is this machine, the Heavy Onager. As you can see, forward mounting arm, beam sling, kind of a triangular frame right here. There's some other versions of it show it being a little bit different in its design, but mechanically this is pretty well it. Now the originals would have had a rope spring right in here, kind of like what I did on the Roman Onager here, on the smaller Onager. I found that on this model it was a little bit impractical, so I kind of went with just more what traditional, the way we do it, was just a rubber band looped around the stop bar. So we're going to be building this one. So I know it ain't exactly traditional, but mechanically it's identical. So we'll be back with you in a second when I get all the ingredients here up here, all the components you'll need. Alright. You're going to need craft foam, a rubber band, and maybe I can get one smaller than that. We'll go with this one right here. I think that'll work better. You'll need a rubber band, a bamboo skewer, a pair of scissors, glue gun, and a handful of tongue depressor style popsicle sticks. So, and 2 clothespins. We'll show you about that in just a minute. Alright, let's sit this down so you can kind of see what we're doing here. What we're going to do, you're going to need these 2 rails right here. Now what you're going to do is you're going to cut the end pieces off of them. Like that on that end. And like that on that end. Now, we both know how I tend to even these up. I'll lay them up against each other like so. Use one as a guide for the other. And we'll lay these 2 down here. Now, your next step is to grab one of these. Another one like this. Shear it off here. And you're going to cut it about maybe 2 or 3 inches there. Make sure you're even. Yep. Now, you're going to build this is basically the chassis of this thing. Okay, I know I plugged in the glue gun. Hang on. I got to plug in the glue gun. I thought I had it plugged in. That's what happens when you're in a hurry. Basically, while I'm waiting for the glue gun to fire up here, I'll show you what we're doing, how we're going to set up, and I'll show you the next step while we're waiting here. Basically, you're going to want to put one of these, you're going to even these up, you're going to glue that one on that side, and these are not exactly even, are they? Well, it says they are. Alright. So what you're going to do is you're going to put that one on that end, and this one on this end. Now if you think you need this to be a little wider, you can. So we'll wait for this thing to heat up for a minute. But yeah, feels good to be building these again. See how we're coming. Now, tell you what, we'll be back in a minute when we get the hot glue gun ready. Alright, we're back, folks. We got the glue gun ready to go. So, what you're going to do is kind of come in right here, put a little dab of glue here, a little dab of glue here, and hopefully it's warmed up enough to be effective. Going to glue this cross beam right here across the front of the frame, and you're going to do likewise on this end. Now I did push these two rails right here a little closer together to give this back frame a little bit more purchase. So there you go. That's the first part of it. Your next part, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something a little bit differently than I did on the original design, because there was just one thing I didn't like about it. If you'll look at the original design, and this is the prototype, by the way, see I've got a piece right here to kind of hold it up, but I don't have a piece down here, and it made this thing a little unstable. So what we're going to do is we're going to glue another cross beam. We're going to cut another set of cross beams right here. Kind of give you a little more heft on the frame. So what we're going to do, trim it here and here. Now we'll do the same thing on another piece here. Like I said, can't really tell you how many popsicle sticks are going to be used in this thing. Now if you wanted to build it a little smaller, you could size it down. Just kind of remember the basic gist of how we're doing this. This also gives your clothespin and your launch arm a little bit of clearance that you wouldn't have had otherwise, if you saw how low to the ground the original was. Alrighty. There you go. Now, your next step is your clothespins. Now, we're going to do what we always do for the axle assemblies. We're going to glue the clothespin shut. Make sure that's good and even. That's going to be where your axle goes. We're going to glue one more like that now. Make sure your clothespin is even. Scrape off the extra. Try not to burn yourself. Alright, now, another one of these. Another clothespin here. Get these glue stringers off of me. Alright, you're going to get this edge, that pointy thing, cut off that side. And you're going to want to cut right in the middle here. Let me see if I can get this where you can see it. Oh, my tripod, like I said, it's a tad wonky. So, there you go. Right in the middle, and I'll show you. Basically, like that. And you're going to want to, you can leave that round edge on it. So, now, if you think you're not cut even, you can fix that too, but right now what we're going to be looking at is, so we got our front struts, and now we're building, this is going to be the leaning part of it here. So we're going to cut that piece off. Now, that's going to be your front, that's going to be that ramp that's up here in the front. It's basically where your stop bar is going to be on your catapult. So, on this end, we're going to glue it in like so. And we're going to hold this one in place. Well, actually, it's the other one that we want to put in place, the rounded side of it. Grab the wrong side. Alright, we're going to put the rounded one in place here. You're going to come up on it, and I'm trying to get where you can see what I'm doing. Alright, we're going to try this again. I had the camera fell over a second ago. Basically, we're going to try it from this range. I don't know how it's going to perform because we're outside and I'm not in the indoor range. So we're going to try it and see what happens. And let's see what happens here. Well, that was kind of telling. We overshot the wall quite a ways. And it landed down here. Oh. And the catapult, as you see, it's way down here. It went about 10 foot. About 8 or 10 foot. So, obviously, we're going to need much longer range to hit. Or at least a little less torque. So, we're going to try it again. If I can hit it here, then we'll know that this particular experiment has sort of failed. So, let's try it again. This time I'm not going to put as much torque on it. I'm not going to draw it back as far. Here it goes. Now that one went even further, but it just barely missed the wall. If the wall had been a tad higher, it would have hit. Let me see if we can find our eraser. Kind of give you an indication of the range. I saw it go down. Ow. Let's see. Now I lost my eraser. That's way out here a piece. Well, there it is. Now, that was at a quarter of it. So, the catapult, as you can see, about 20 foot out. 25 foot out. So I've got this wall set at about 2, maybe 3 feet. This thing just fired about way out into the yard. So obviously gonna need a little more range probably when my knee recovers to give you a full estimate of how strong it is, but I think you just kind of got a notion right there. It's got a range of about 20 feet. So if you like what you're seeing, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell to get notified. And we'll see you guys on the flip side.